this May 22nd, 2025.
Yes. Dargis Johnson.
Here.
Aletsky.
Present.
Culhane.
Here.
Dolly.
Here.
Kakachek. And let's see if we have anyone online. Why is this? It does not appear. Oh. Can the number with 0618 please state your name?
We're gonna have to
Okay,
patch that in
awesome.
better.
Thank you. We will, if, when we open the public hearing for that item, then you can speak. But I just wanted to know.
Board Member Spires also here today with us. We have a quorum.
And then Kays, Albee, and Tate are absent. And yes, we have a quorum. We have 6 members. So the conditional uses will require 4. Gosh. Okay, the conditional use will require 4, and the variance will require 5.
I think 5.
Yeah, and I'll confirm that. Sorry, guys. I don't know why that always trips me up. But yes, proceed.
All right, wonderful. Is there anything to add to the agenda or any changes to the agenda?
No.
Hearing none, I take a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Aletsky, second by Dolly. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I would entertain a motion, assuming there are no changes to the April 24th, 2025 minutes.
Nope.
Changes, corrections, anything, any issues from board members?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dolly, second by Dargits. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Regular agenda 5A. This brings us to the storage units. Please, Brandy, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Liam. So this is a conditional use request for a property located with 3 frontages of South Lake Drive, Prairie Hills Ave, and then South Lake Drive on the south and the east side of the property. When it was preliminary planned, it was always zoned C2 local commercial district. Obviously, that's conducive when you're doing a development so that people around know what they're buying next to and what the C2 district allows for and the conditional uses associated. So the developer, Dennis Arnold, or the owner, is requesting a conditional use for storage units, which in the C2, they are limited to be less than 600 square feet per unit. So you are getting more local storage type of a situation. So with that, I will stand by for any questions.
Does staff have any questions? The minutes should reflect that Mr. Kays is here joining us as well. So we now have 7 board members. We're on the regular agenda. Mr. Kays, on 5A, we're just about to open the public hearing if there's no staff for Brandy, or staff questions for Brandy.
And it still stays 4 and 5. Conditional use needs 4, variance needs 5.
It's my understanding, too.
Perfect.
Will this lot be accessed from the South Lake Drive or from the road in between?
The 2, so they would access it from South Lake Drive on the south side. Because those are their collector routes.
So it'll cross over the bike path?
Yeah. And actually, it already exists, the access point. And yeah, unfortunately, like with any driveway, they have to cross over if it's a bike path or a sidewalk. But you can see here that driveway already exists. Now, in the future, if they wanted, like, they really would be able to have one on the
Randy,
north, too.
Can we get it on the screen here too?
Yep, Trent will get that. I can't control that. Sorry, I thought you guys could see that. So there's the driveway on the south, and then, but honestly, because of the frontage that this property has, they would be able to have access on the north as well. We would avoid along the east side.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to start with the proponent. Looks like Mr. Arnold is here with us today. Come up here, identify yourself, and explain what's going on, if you'd like to. You don't have to. Proponents, any proponents for the conditional use permit? Come up to the microphone, please, Mr. Arnold, sorry.
And then just introduce yourself to start.
I think Brandy has explained it pretty well, but back in,
Introduce yourself for the record.
what's that?
Introduce yourself for the record, just state your
I'm,
name.
okay, I'm Dennis Arnold, the owner of the property. Okay, back when in the preliminary plan, when I was started Prairie Hills Development, in the preliminary plan, this particular lot was set aside as a commercial lot initially. All the other lots were R1, except for the lots that are marked R2, which were changed from an R1 to an R2 in subsequent years after that. Since that time, well, Ardell Austin was the engineer from Austin Engineering, and I set that lot aside particularly for storage. And my understanding was back in that years, and the reason I did that was for storage for the neighborhood, for storage garages. I'm not sure if that changed over 20 years, but my understanding back then was that that would not have been a conditional use. That would have been an allowed use. But now, by today's standards anyway, and I don't know if that changed over the last 25 years or not, but anyway, so that's what I'm requesting. I did talk to the engineer, city engineer, a few years ago, and I did get permits to put an approach in. So the approach you see there is what was approved and what I put in, and that's been put in. It does go across the bike trail. It's concrete, it's 6-inch concrete and appropriate width for a commercial lot. I do have a letter in the file for access, another access into that lot. I haven't exercised that. I don't know if I ever will, but I did have one on the east and on the south. So, if I can answer any more questions or.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Arnold?
Where are you thinking about putting them at, the 9 units?
They would be in that southwest corner,
Closest to the driveway.
closest to the driveway. Yep, yep.
This is a conditional use permit. This board can put conditions on things like screening and those kinds of things. Would you be amenable if we said you had to screen from the residential neighborhoods or something like that? I think there's probably something in ordinance regarding that, right, Brandy? But if we put additional conditions on?
I don't have any problem with that, and I have done a lot of that already. I do have evergreen trees planted around the entire property. On the west, and on the south, and on the east, those pine trees are, I don't know, 15 feet tall already, I suppose. The ones on the north are a little smaller. Those got planted a few years later. But I do have them all the way around.
It's been a while since I've been on the bike trail, unfortunately.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Mr. Arnold, do you foresee any outdoor storage being associated with these storage units? Would it all be inside?
It would all be inside storage. Yep.
And
Yep.
if he did outdoor storage, it would have to have a fence and approved on the site plan. And then the other thing is, this is not the CL, so there's not that caveat with the requirements for the aesthetics, but yeah, the screening does exist.
I would say too that the buildings themselves will be very typical to other buildings that I've built. They'll not be just a large rectangular building. I know I was on the board when we did the residential, what do we call
Garage,
it? The
the
residential garage lots. And I was real strong in believing that those garages were needed in the neighborhood, but they shouldn't just be one great big rectangular building. They would need to do some differentiation in the walls and things. So, and these buildings would be the same.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
So, Mr. Arnold, are you stating that this wouldn't be like steel-sided, vertical, horizontal, vertical tin? sort of building?
Residential siding.
Residential siding?
Yep,
Thank
yep,
you.
not metal, not a metal roof, not metal walls, residential siding to fit in with a residential neighborhood.
Any additional questions for Mr. Arnold? If you would just hang out for a little bit in case we have more questions for you, that'd be great. Anything else you want to add? Any other proponents in the audience? Proponents? Any opponents or neutral that would like to speak on this? Opponents or neutral parties? Anybody? Chris, no? You don't have a problem with this? It's right across from your house. Okay.
Are you prying?
Well, I just want to make sure that everyone has a chance to speak their mind.
Yep.
Ernie White, Mr. White, he's across the street too.
I thought Ernie was down the road. Did he move?
No, yeah, he's
They're here in silent support, or they're maybe
here in
not.
silence,
They are
whatever
just
that means.
here to and be informed.
Well, this is anyone's opportunity to speak on behalf of or against, and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion. I would propose maybe we have a motion that memorialize some of the things. I appreciate your building, Mr. Arnold, and how you do your buildings, but just so it is in the record. I would
Mr.
make-
Chair?
Go ahead.
I will make an attempt. I would make a motion to approve the request with a couple caveats. Number one, that the use of normal residential building materials similar to those found on on-site constructed homes in the neighborhood would be utilized. Number two, that the pine trees that are surrounding the property stay in effect in the event any were to blow down, burn away, whatever, they're replaced.
They're actually spruce. Do you want to just say evergreen?
Evergreen, sorry.
Coniferous-
I forgot.
coniferous
I forgot.
screening
I will-
trees?
I will defer to the landscape architect.
Sorry, I just had to.
Trees that are there, that they're replaced in the event they were to die or in that event. And then any lighting on the proposed facilities would be shoebox or downscreen, or there'd be no light spillage. And in the event that there was to be any outdoor associated storage with this facility, again, it's in the ordinance, but a wood fence or something like that would be there to screen.
for outdoor.
You want a 6-foot fence, vinyl or wood?
Yeah, 6-foot fence, that would just screen it in the event outdoor storage. Mr. Arnold sells it to somebody else and they're not as nice, and don't oversee the property as much as Mr. Arnold will.
We have a motion with multiple conditions. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Dolly. Board discussion. Does anyone want to discuss that?
Well,
Go ahead.
we all know what kind of building material and the quality and stuff that Dennis always has, so I'm assuming this will just carry on through. And he does live in the neighborhood, so he'll have to look at it, so I'm assuming it'll be pretty good.
It is consistent with the preliminary plan that has stood with the development of this property for the history of the development.
I will say that the last storage shed that we approved over by the golf course, I still get flack for that nearly weekly. But I'm not as concerned about this one, given the current screening, the agreement, or sort of the agreement to screen conditions on that, and lighting and the residential building materials. But just for note, I still get gruff for that 2 years later, so. Any other comments, concerns, board discussion? Hearing none, remind me, parliamentarian, this can be a voice vote, can it?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion passes.
Excuse me, in the event that we could challenge, it should be, Board of Adjustments should have roll call votes, but in the event that there's not a unanimous decision, then we would have to have a roll call. So, the good.
So should we do Dargis Johnson?
We can, unless you want to make the determination that it was a unanimous vote.
Sounded unanimous to me.
Okay. I was only saying your name like I was going to start the roll.
5B, board consideration of a variance, 16.6 front yard setback.
Yes, okay, thank you, Liam. This is the property located at 378 North Lake Drive, which we're trying to get to. So this property is another property actually on Cutts Avenue.
2 weeks ago.
Yep. And it's zoned R1. What they're wanting to do is a garage addition, and the current garage is at 16.6 feet off of the front yard setback. That was permitted in 1971. And then there's another detached or accessory structure that they will be removing on this west side where they want to do the addition. And then they are proposing that the addition will be staggered back so that they'll have a 17.4 foot setback. The reason why I did 16.6 is to request that just because they had differing front yard setbacks to go with the 16.6 because that was permitted in 1971. So just to make sure that there's no confusion there. And then the front yard setback and this is considered a rear because it's not lake adjacent at the lake, requires that a garage attached or detached opening perpendicular to the right of way has to be 20 feet. So they are about 3.4 and 2.6 feet short, which is why they're here before you requesting a variance. They do have sufficient parking for their single-family residence for the 2 stalls per house. So because they have a 3-stall garage with the addition, they'll actually have additional. So they are not needing their driveway to park. And then obviously 2, this is a very narrow street. So the driveway is actually extended within the right of way. There is no sidewalk or bike trail. And it does very much function as a local street. So really when you look at where they enter, they before they hit the street, they still have 32 feet for clearance purposes. So
And there are no sidewalks?
nope. There's no curb and gutter. Like we talked 2 weeks ago, it's a very local street. So yeah, with that, I'll stand by for questions.
Brandy, in terms of that right-of-way, is that in excess of what we would typically see for a street of that capacity?
And what do you mean?
Is that more right-of-way than we would typically have for that kind of street?
Actually, it's usually we would do 66 feet, but the street width would actually be greater.
Okay. So it's just because the street itself is narrow, or the right-of-way or the public right-of-way is in line with what we typically see?
Yep.
Additional questions for staff?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
And Brandy, along the area, if you were to go take a look, see to the east and to the west of that property, we do see, looks like to me, a number of structures that are closer than the money. And I'm going to presume some of those were built back in the 70s. What was the setback in 1971? Do we have any record of what it was, or was there a variance associated with the original construction?
That's way before my time on this earth. But this most likely these were developed in the county.
Exactly, and there probably was different regulations at the time because they preceded the city's annexation.
Other questions for Brandy? I noticed that the agenda I have doesn't list a public hearing, but there is a public hearing on this, right? So I will at this time open the public hearing and ask the proponent, I assume Mr. Sire wants to speak. Come on up, identify yourself.
It's right there.
Thank you, Board. My name is Jim Sire. I'm from 378 North Lake Drive. We purchased this property late last summer. We closed on it this spring. We closed on it last fall. We immediately saw the garage was a 24 by 24 garage. Somewhat assumed that we could do something with this garage and expand it. Our initial thought was, well, we've got 30 feet before we hit the property line to the west. We got plenty of room for another stall, so we went ahead and started making plans to look at an addition. So it began as a third stall, kind of a extended third stall, which you see a lot, pretty common for triple garages in this day and age. The existing garage, 24 by 24, we pulled in our Ford Expedition, our Ram 1500, and those are full-size vehicles, and there was about 3 feet in front of the vehicles. So you can get them in, but it's pretty confining, especially for those of us who live in the garage. We knew that, at least I knew, my wife maybe thought, well, we can get by, but anyway. So we started making plans. We were just going to add the stall on and use the existing structure. Went up into the attic and found out that the roof trusses were not sufficient to carry any more load. And that was a little bit of a surprise for us. We just were advised by both the folks over at Cashway, the designer and the contractor, and I could see it myself that this isn't a existing roof with trusses. It's an existing roof that's kind of been cobbled together, and it looks to me like maybe there was some sagging at one point that they had to correct. So obviously when that was identified, we figured, well, now it's time to reevaluate. And so this would be a complete removal of the garage and then a full set of trusses going the full 40-foot width. And then we became aware that the front of the garage would need to be, since it was replaced, we'd need a waiver to put it back where it was. I didn't measure to the right-of-way because I didn't know exactly where that's at. Of course, the folks here at the city did. But I did measure to the street, and the statistic that you saw earlier, the measurement was 32 feet. When we pull in, there's still 10 feet between the back of the vehicle and the street, so there's plenty of room there. And since I've submitted the application, I've looked at a couple of things that I've noticed. In the event there were ever need to be a sidewalk put on that street, there's going to be large trees, there's going to be utility boxes, and there's going to be other things that need to be replaced or removed. So it's not an easy side of the street to put anything except what's there on. On the other side of the street is city property, and that would be much easier to run a sidewalk or a path down that side. So my 2 cents worth is that would make more sense and be more cost effective to do that. So it would seem to me that, impeding on the right-of-way maybe isn't as significant on this side as it might be on the other. I guess the other thing that I've noticed is when we park on the street, and we currently do when we have family members over, it's an 18-foot wide street, and if you're leaving room for allowance for mirrors and such, you're about using almost half that street. So that is maybe a little bit concerning to me as far as safety. It just is very tight, and having that third stall, that third driveway would be much more amenable to having guests over and eliminating those safety hazards. So that's kind of the plan. Again, it would be to replace that front stall, or the two stalls, the front of the garage exactly where the two stalls are, and then I think there's an 18-inch drop back for the third stall, and so that's a little bit less than impeding the right-of-way than the other two. So I guess with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy. Oh, and by the way, the 12 by 20 storage unit is already gone. I think you might have approved that 2 weeks ago. That's been moved down the street. And we wouldn't anticipate having a storage unit.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, no, they
Mr. Sire?
didn't approve that. I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Mr. Sire. Any questions for the applicant?
Are you going to, sorry, are you, Mr.
Go ahead.
Okay, are you going to have to change out the trusses on the entire house or just on the garage and the new addition of the house?
So the new trusses will span the garage, and then they've got some partial trusses for the extra room behind is another bedroom, and then there's some hand framing but there will be a complete change in the direction of the pitch of the roof. It'll move from the street to the lake, which is north to south, as opposed to right now the garage runs north to south, but the house runs east to west. So off the garage, there will be the pitch of the roof will be north to south.
Other questions for the applicant? Hearing no other questions, you can take a seat, Mr. Sire. Stand by for further
Thank you.
questioning. Any opponents or neutral parties regarding this application? Opponents, neutral parties? Any other proponents regarding this application? Proponents? Anybody at all that has anything to say about Mr. Sire's garage? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I move to approve as presented.
Motion by Kokachek,
I'll second that.
second by Oletsky. Further discussion?
When we're looking at granting variances, we're always supposed to be looking for things that are unique about the property. And I think the uniqueness isn't the property per se, however, it's the transportation network in front of that. And the ability to take that into consideration, in my opinion, where this is no more intrusive than many of the other structures along that side of the street. We have a narrower street. Theoretically, it's slower traffic, combined with the fact that even if he was to park his truck outside his garage, there would still be at least 10 feet of open space between there and the edge of the road. And those would be my findings to substantiate the issuance of a variance.
Just to add just a little bit more on that train of thought as well, Todd, is there's really no, based on the geography there and the available land, there's really no sizable increase in density even possible on that road. So it's expected to maintain its current density ratio.
Further board comment?
I would just comment that had it been on like North or South Lake Drive, that would not, I mean, where it is its own little offshoot. Like I said, it's not quite as intrusive to traffic.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, I will ask for a roll call on this, given that it's a variance.
Okay. Kokachek,
Yes.
Spire,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes?
Culhane,
Yes.
Oletsky,
Yes.
Kays,
Yes.
Dargits Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, or variance passes. Go ahead and build your garage, Mr. Sire. Thank you. Whenever you get the permit.
In addition.
Addition, whatever it is.
No, his permit. That's where we're at now.
All right, open public comment. Now is the time to comment on anything that wasn't in the agenda. If you have anything you want to say that wasn't in the agenda. Anybody? No one? Okay, new business.
None that I have?
Perfect. Any old business?
No.
No old business. We are adjourned then. Stand by for the planning commission.
All right, Trent, you let us know when to go.